The very first time I saw this watch wasn't actually the watch itself, but a black and white picture. Back then I was a student, totally in love with watches, and most of my savings went into watch books. One of the books was this wonderful tome here.
Hidden amongst these hundreds of watches was this tiny little photo with just a number and the date, 1936.
I saw that picture and said, what is this? I've never seen anything like it.
Why was it so amazing? Because this is a timepiece from the mid-30s, and it's a barrel-shaped watch.
A tonneau watch with a retrograde date and a minute repeater placed on the right side of the case. And for me, it was just the most beautiful thing I had seen. I spent 25 years dreaming of the watch until the day we figured out where it was.
To me personally, it is one of the most important wristwatches in the world. You have a watch that in the 1930s was a novelty. There was no other retrograde calendar wristwatch with minute repeating in a tonneau case with a winder at 12 o'clock. So it was revolutionary.
It took 4 years to kind of track down the whereabouts of the watch.
All my fears that it would be over-polished, repaired, there would be soldering marks, the dial would have been poorly restored, all this was gone in a split second.
Pratiquement tout de suite, quand j'ai vu le côté mouvement, donc côté répétition, avec les ponts séparés, je me suis dit, ça c'est valet du jour.
The exceptional watch, and it's incredible find. The first impression, finally I seen a real watch in my hand. I like the compact size, the well-balanced dial. I like the quality of the case. I think the case is never touched, never polished.
On one hand we're excited, but on the other hand suddenly felt a burden on our back. The burden of what is the right thing to do for this watch. There are independent watchmakers who can bring such a watch from a technical point of view back to life. We felt the one and only appropriate thing to do is to go back to the manufacturer.
When Phillips transmitted us the watch, we were surprised to see that the dial was different, in the sense that the dial on the watch was featuring radium numerals. And again, thanks to very deep researchers in the archives, we found the letter which indicates that our clients wanted to have two dials, one which is the dial that we had in our archive, and the second dial with radium numerals, which was the dial that had to be put on the watch. So this is how we knew that the watch was delivered with two different dials, and so we could really authenticate it through our archive.
We decided not to restore the dial. We didn't want to touch this original work of art, but instead, after quite some discussing internally with the family and with Vacheron Constantin, we opted to make a new, absolute, faithful, one-to-one copy of the original dial. I think we did the one and only right thing the watch would deserve.
We are very lucky people here at Vacheron Constantin, since we have a fantastic archive of more than 420 linear meters, and we have almost all the history of all of the timepieces that we have made since the early 19th century. And we went to our archives and we started to do in-depth research about the story of that timepiece. And this is just an amazing story. We can say really that it was a made-to-measure, a custom-made timepiece, since we have all the history of this timepiece, and we have discovered that there has been a lot of interactions between our client, our retailer in Madrid, and Vacheron Constantin, with many different changes. At the moment of the story, our client decided to keep it as a minute repeater without any additional information, but the final decision was to make a minute repeater with that very particular calendar which is on the watch face.
We have the original sketches of the client, of what he wanted. We have the letters from Vacheron and the client. It's just amazing. It felt like being in Vacheron's offices in 1935-36, discussing with the client and creating a unique complicated masterpiece.
Quand on regarde sous le cadran au niveau de la répétition, la façon dont les pièces sont faites, c'est pas un système simplifié, donc c'est vraiment comme on dit, de la vraie répétition avec des aciers bien faits, aussi des belles formes, l'esthétique est important. Et puis au niveau des finitions, des anglages et tout, quoi, c'est toujours un plaisir à regarder.
The discovery of this watch was as exciting for me as a watch fan, as a Vacheron Constantin enthusiast, and I think for Vacheron Constantin, who actually managed to connect with a very important part of their own history. I've been dreaming of this watch for 25 years, and I'm kind of sad to see it go. I'm a bit sad to see it go, but I'm sure that wherever it goes, it will definitely be a crown jewel in a collection, and by far.